Greetings in Jesus' wonderful name and welcome to Riverside Chats. I began a series on the creation of the universe. We are looking at the subtitle, The Purpose for Humanity, Why God Created Human Beings. Today we're going to talk about how, when humanity fell, humanity lost its purpose. In Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 to 24, we have the account of the fall of man. When we talk of man, we talk of Adam and Eve, we talk of mankind. Romans 3:23 declares, "For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God." Romans was written by the Apostle Paul. It is the constitution of our Christianity. It is the foundation of our faith. The Bible says, "For all have sinned and fallen short." We were created with divine purpose. We were created to glorify God. We were created to walk in koinonia, in fellowship with God. Humanity was called to be a reflection of the image of God, the Imago Dei. We learned also that humanity was given the custodianship of creation. We were to be stewards of creation. But when man sinned, everything changed. Sin brings more than guilt. It distorts humanity's purpose and separates human beings from God. The tragedy of sin is not that only human beings became sinful, but that human beings lost sight of why human beings were created. I want to start by declaring sin broke humanity's fellowship from God. But I think we shouldn't take things for granted. We should define what sin is. We'll take some time to talk about sin and what sin is according to the Bible. We're going to look at some biblical definitions for sin. Sin is anything that violates the will of God. Sin is anything that falls short of God's holiness. God's essential attribute is His holiness. Sin breaks fellowship with God. Sin is more than just bad behavior. It is the condition of the heart that is in rebellion against God. The Bible tells us that God is constantly angry with the wicked. John 3:16 declares, "For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God sent not His Son into the world to condemn the world, that the world through Him might be saved." The Bible declares, if you have the Son, you have life. But if you do not have the Son, you do not have life. But that the wrath of God doth continually abide upon you. What is sin, you might ask? We're going to look at some biblical definitions for sin. Sin is missing the mark. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned, every boy, every girl, every man and every woman. We've fallen short of God's glory." The biblical word for sin means to miss the mark, like an arrow missing its target. Sin is the failure to live according to the perfect standard of God. Sin is missing the mark. We've all missed the mark. The Bible says if we say we have no sin, we lie and the truth is not in us. When you come to Christ, you must come on His terms. You must believe that you're a sinner. We've all sinned. You might say, well, Pastor, that's not really entirely right. I might have done some sinful deeds. But there's a lot of good in me, you might say. Imagine making scrambled eggs. 11 eggs are good and one's bad, and you mix them all together. How many good eggs do you have? Absolutely none. The Bible says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. All we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned every one into his own way, but the Lord has laid upon himself the iniquity of us all. To sin means to miss the mark. We've missed the target. We've missed God's perfect standard. Sin is also lawlessness. In 1 John 3:4, the Bible says sin is lawlessness. Sin is rebellion against God's authority. The Bible says disobedience is like witchcraft. To sin means to rebel against God's authority. It's ignoring all God's commands. Jesus said, if you love me, then keep my commandments. Sin is rejecting God's ways. The Bible says there's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. The Bible talks about the narrow way and the broad way. Narrow is the way that leads to life eternal. Sin is ignoring God's commands. It's rebellion against God's authority. Sin is rejecting His ways. Sin is choosing self over God. Lord, bend this proud and stiff-necked eye. Help me to bow the head and die, beholding Him on Calvary, who gave His life for me. Sin is also knowing right, but not doing it. In James 4:17, the Bible says, to him who knows to do good and does not do it, to him it is sin. How often I sin volitionally. I sin intentionally. I sin with intentionality. I know the consequences of the sin. We are driven by our own lusts. We have a knowledge of sin, but we do it anyway. Sin is rebellion. Sin is disobedience. The first sin was disobedience. You might say, well, Lucifer fell before that, and his sin was pride. Sin is not only doing wrong, it is failing to do what is right. Some examples of sinful behavior. When we refuse to forgive, we love to be forgiven, but we fail to want to forgive. The Bible says if we fail to forgive, God will hand us to the tormentors. Do you refuse to forgive, but enjoy the perks of being forgiven? Some examples of failing to do what's right is neglecting compassion. Whenever Jesus saw the multitude, he had compassion on the multitude. What is compassion? Compassion is love in action. Jesus always had compassion. A compassion that came right out of his gut, out of the bowels. Sin is not only doing what is wrong, but failing to do what is right. Sin is ignoring God's voice. God speaks to us and we ignore him sometimes. The Bible says in sundry times and diverse manners, God spoke through the prophets. But these days he's spoken through his Son. We have a more sure word of prophecy. Are you ignoring the voice of God? Sin entered the world. Sin contaminated mankind. It's called, from then on, the fall of man. We'll continue to talk about God's purpose for humanity and how committing sin, we lost that purpose. We are talking about what is sin, what constitutes sin. We'll continue with this question in the next session. God bless you and love you.